At that. But speaking of totally gross, let's talk about
hot topics. And now let's go to John McCain.
No. Can you believe this president?
No,
take a look. No, seriously, take a look.
Mr. President, why are you attacking Senator John McCain 7 months after his death?
I'm very unhappy that he didn't repeal and replace Obamacare. As you know, he campaigned on repealing and replacing Obamacare for years, and then he got to a vote and he said thumbs down, and our country would have saved $1 trillion and we would have had great health care. So he campaigned. He told us hours before that he was going to repeal and replace, and then for some reason, I think I understand the reason, he ended up going thumbs up. And frankly, had we even known that, I think we would have gotten a vote because we could have gotten somebody else. So I think that's disgraceful. Plus, there are other things. I was never a fan of John McCain, and I never will be.
So
not...
First of all, we have to talk about this. It's a lie. What they were talking about was a skinny repeal of Obamacare. Probably would not have ultimately passed, would not have had enough votes for that. But even if it had, you're talking about one vote stacked, Kristen, against a lifetime of public service, John McCain. We all know the story. Donald Trump knows the story. One suspects that's why he hates John McCain so much, because of the courage he showed under fire, refusing to leave when he could, refusing to leave the Hanoi Hilton because he wasn't going to leave ahead of the other POWs that were being tortured there.
Donald Trump has been no fan of John McCain long before John McCain went thumbs up on the Senate floor.
Right.
The very early days of Trump's presidential campaign involved him saying, you know, I prefer my war heroes to be the ones that don't get captured. I mean, and this was a big controversy, and folks thought, oh, will this be the end of Trump's presidential campaign? And it turned out no. It turned out that there was quite a lot of tolerance for folks within the Republican Party saying, well, maybe John McCain's not my guy. And I think it really shows just how much a party can change so quickly. I mean, John McCain, right, Republican nominee in 2008, and yet it was completely fine for the Republican nominee to be insulting him vigorously on the trail. And I think also Donald Trump has always just been frustrated that John McCain really gets accolades. He's beloved. He's viewed as this statesman and this hero. And I think he's viewed by the broader public in a way that the broader public does not view Donald Trump. And I think that he covets that.
So, Willie, what's disturbing to me is, at this point, again, it's baked into the cake for Donald Trump. As a public figure, he's just abhorrent. He's an abhorrent example. He's an abhorrent public servant. But he's also, as Kristen suggested, completely brainwashed an entire party. You look at what happened at CPAC, and they give speakers who attack the war hero standing ovations. And I will tell you, I know rank-and-file Republicans who call John McCain a, quote, traitor. A traitor, which is just disgusting. He's just the opposite of that. While Donald Trump was, you know, getting D's and playing ping pong and golf, you know, at some Ivy League school, John McCain was putting it all on the line for his family. And here we are in 2019, and people that support Donald Trump, you know, how many deferments for bone spurs?
5, I think, altogether.
And he can't remember which foot had him.
Yeah, calling John McCain a traitor. That is a sickness in the Republican Party.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And it's one thing for Donald Trump to say the things he's going to say. As Kristen said, he's been saying them since July of 2015, which, if you go back, was actually a significant day in American history. I hate to say it, because we all thought, you can't say that about John McCain. You can be critical of his policy, you can be critical of the way he votes, but can't criticize his commitment to the country and the question of whether or not he's a hero. Well, Donald Trump did it, and not only got away with it, but his support went up. So we know that's baked in. But to your point, we saw Mitt Romney come out very critical of the comments yesterday. But where are all the other Republicans who could say very easily, I didn't always agree with John McCain. I didn't like the way he voted on A, B, and C. But to question his heroism, to question his commitment to the country, to suggest that John McCain is a traitor to America is outrageous. Why is that hard to say? I still don't get why it's difficult to say what Mitt Romney said yesterday.
And what does John McCain's family think? What would John McCain think of the fact that Mitt Romney can speak out against the president's attack, but Lindsey Graham, who affixed himself to John McCain for a decade, can't do the same, Mike.
What does that say about Lindsey Graham? What does that say about his character?
Nothing good.
And what does it say, as Willie just pointed out, as you've mentioned a million times, Joe, what does it say about various members of the Republican Party in the Senate and the House who know that the President of the United States, the sitting president, is a friendless, empty vessel? He's a lonely man. He's a man alone. He is what he is. He's a liar. He's cheated. He has all of these stains on his soul that are public, that people know, and they say nothing. They say nothing.
Well, we're going to actually get to this next fascinating dynamic that is related to what you're talking about, Mike.
Did somebody saying something?
And exactly. And also, then we're going to talk about what I personally think is the reason for this behavior, which has ratcheted up since, maybe Friday with these 50 tweets over the weekend. I think the Michael Cohen news is what's making him a